Smith Show starts right now.
Welcome to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you as I love to do every weekday over the airwaves of ESPN Radio and ESPN News. 250 plus markets across the United States of America. Check the AM, FM listing nearest you, plus ESPN Radio on Sirius XM Channel 80, plus ESPN Radio simulcast over the live national television airwaves of ESPN News. Number to call up as always is 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. The Stephen A. Smith Show is being brought to you by Credit Karma. Get your truly free credit scores and free credit monitoring from Credit Karma today. That's Credit Karma, K-A-R-M-A. Get knowing. Time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. Got a jam-packed show coming your way. Still in Los Angeles for the rest of the day into tomorrow. Tomorrow night, the Los Angeles Lakers host the Boston Celtics. Kyrie Irving is coming to town to go against his old teammate LeBron James. Together, they won a championship 3 years ago for the city of Cleveland and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Kyrie Irving is now a Boston Celtics. He will be in town at the most opportune of times, actually, considering all the stuff that has just been associated with the Lakers and LeBron James over the past few weeks. That's number one. Number two, the Clippers, 8th seed in the Western Conference playoffs, looking to move forward, make some noise, 8 games over 500, trying to move up in the seedings and the standings. They host the Oklahoma City Thunder, who just played in Portland last night and beat the Portland Trailblazers despite Damian Lillard, Dame time, dropping 51. Russell Westbrook had about 37. Paul George did his thing as well. They play tonight. That'll be interesting to see. Plus some other NBA stuff because LeBron's on a minutes restrictions limit, and we will definitely be discussing that. But there's a couple of things that we need to get into. And they don't necessarily involve Kyler Murray like it did over the last couple of days. This is more to the heart of a matter involving A, Antonio Brown, and B, weed in professional sports. Let me get Antonio Brown out of the way first. You heard the news. Bills GM said a trade for Antonio Brown did not make sense. And that's why trade talks ultimately fell apart. Originally reported by Ian Rappaport for NFL Network that a trade was imminent, that the Bills were definitely close to acquiring Antonio Brown. Ultimately, that's something that didn't happen. According to Bills GM Brandon Beane, he said, we inquired about Antonio Brown on Tuesday and kept talks open with the Pittsburgh Steelers. We had positive discussions, but ultimately it didn't make sense for either side. As great a player as Antonio Brown is, we have moved on and our focus is on free agency. Here's the bottom line. Antonio Brown should thank his lucky stars. He should thank his lucky stars. You don't really have a quarterback yet in Buffalo. You don't really have that yet. They're certainly not a good team. You want to position yourself to compete for championships. That's not going to get it done for you. That ain't the answer. Buffalo Bills weren't the answer for Antonio Brown. He's lucky the Steelers didn't send him there. He's very lucky. Personally speaking, in my perfect world, somebody like the New York Giants, who already have Odell Beckham Jr. Could you imagine if Antonio Brown was on the other side of the field, opposite Odell Beckham Jr., with a quarterback that wasn't named Eli Manning, and instead was Dwayne Haskins out of Ohio State? Could you imagine that? Now, obviously, that's fool's gold. That's not going to happen. I was just fantasizing. Another fantasy would have been, since I'm a Steelers fan, him remaining in Pittsburgh. That's not going to happen. Another fantasy, him going to Green Bay and having Aaron Rodgers throwing the ball. But with that fan base and a rookie executive at the GM slot, that's not going to happen. Or rookie head coach, I'm sorry. And Matt LaFleur. I mean, that's not going to happen. So now we got a situation where should Antonio Brown end up? Some people say New England. Bill Belichick don't want Antonio Brown. If you called out your quarterback, called out your coach, called out the organization, look, man, that's an entirely different kind of distraction. That's the kind of distraction most teams don't want. And I think ultimately you could make the argument that Oakland would be a nice landing spot for him because John Gruden is willing to wheel and deal. He's got multiple first-round picks at his disposal. You got to take care of Derek Carr to bring somebody, have somebody for him to throw the ball to. Because Jared Cook or Jordy Nelson or somebody, that ain't enough. And on top of it all, you're moving to Las Vegas. And a guy with Antonio Brown's personality, who's going to demand the ball, who's going to be a worthy number one option, who definitely wants his targets, with Derek Carr looking for somebody to target the football to, seems like it could work. Seems like something that you don't summarily dismiss. So when I look at it from that perspective, I say, okay, Oakland might be a viable landing spot. Antonio Brown right now is considered a sinner. He's considered a sinner because of the manner in which he has elected to conduct himself and portray himself in the last few weeks, with everything from interviews with ESPN to appearances on The Shop with LeBron James and Anthony Davis and Maverick Carter and Jamie Foxx and 2 Chainz. So you got all of that going on with him bloviating and talking about the quarterback, having the mentality of an owner. The GM disrespecting players, the coach telling them to go home like he wasn't nothing. This is according to Antonio Brown. Nobody was safe. Nobody's been safe over the last few weeks. He's talked to Big Ben. He's talked about Big Ben Roethlisberger. He's talked about Mike Tomlin. He's talked about the GM Kevin Colbert. He's talked about ownership. He's talked about his money. Those are 5 different categories where he's essentially said, I'm possibly going to be a distraction for you. You know it's bad when the GM for the Pittsburgh Steelers, arguably a gold standard in the National Football League for decades, with 6 world championships, Super Bowl championships on their resume, these guys came out and said about 3 teams called. How come it wasn't 10? How come it wasn't 13? How come it wasn't 15? How come it wasn't 18? For a receiver who's caught at least 101 passes per season for over 1,285 yards per season over the last 6 years, who's universally recognized as one of the top 2 receivers in all of football. Why in God's name would only 3 teams be calling you? Because they consider Antonio Brown cancerous. I'm not saying that. I like Antonio Brown. I don't approve of everything that he's done in the way that he's done it. But I understand his frustration. But I think he's completely mishandled all of this. And I think he's devalued himself in the market. Now, one can make the argument that, you know what, there's 32 teams. And because there's 32 teams, all you got to find is one. That's all you got to find. I'm surprised the Dallas Cowboys didn't come calling, even with Amari Cooper there. I'm surprised. But the fact of the matter is, somebody eventually will call. But by him talking, he's devalued himself, particularly when you're letting everybody know, not only have I been a distraction, so you got to worry about that, but I also want guaranteed money. He's created a problem for himself. I'm trying to figure out who the hell are these people's PR folks. And oh, by the way, transitioning to basketball, since I am sitting here in LA, when we talk about PR, I can't believe I'm saying this, but somebody whose PR hasn't been the greatest is LeBron James. I haven't been out here all the time. Plus, I'm not a Los Angelian as much as I love this city. Lord have mercy, do I love it. The weather, the palm trees, the sunshine, Rodeo Drive, Melrose, L.A. Live, Venice Beach, I mean everything. L.A. is lovely. But I ain't from here. So when I look at a guy like a Bill Plaschke in the LA Times writing columns about LeBron James and being here for Hollywood as opposed to being a part of Laker Nation, I don't know whether that's true or not. I do know this. Plenty of Los Angeles have come up to me and said the same thing Bill Plaschke said. I do know this. Bill Plaschke is a legend in this town and a preeminent voice in LA. Brad Turner, my man for the LA Times, should be considered one as well because what a hell of a reporter he is. Hell of a reporter. But Bill Plaschke being a columnist, the license to editorialize and pontificate and give your opinions. He has been the preeminent voice in LA for decades. And if that's what he says, damn it, I'm taking it as gospel. So suddenly, if you're LeBron James, this question is being asked. How come there was no press conference when you first arrived in LA? In your charity event, how come you weren't there? This is what they're saying, not me. I don't know. When they ask those kind of questions, and they're wondering whether or not you want to be a part of LA, it's a problem. It's a problem. Your PR person, if I'm the PR person, if I'm Adam Medelson and I'm working with LeBron James gets to town. It's the first three things I do. I do a sit-down interview with the great Jim Hill. Ladies and gentlemen, if you in LA and you ain't done an interview with Jim Hill, you ain't in LA. Period. Let me just say what it is. I'm a reporter who does interviews. I'm a columnist who's done interviews. I'm a radio host and television host who's done interviews. And I've been interviewed by Jim Hill. If you're in LA, you sit down with Jim Hill. Period. That's what you do. You sit down with Bill Plaschke. That's what you do. That's what you do. You don't do anything else in this town. You do those things. You become a Laker, you got a press conference. You don't show up to LA and don't have a press conference. That's not what you do. You have a press conference, you have a sit-down interview with Jim Hill, you sit down and talk with Bill Plaschke. That's what you do. Now, if LeBron did that, and I don't know, I apologize. Never saw it. Never saw it. So Antonio Brown being on The Shop, listening and talking with LeBron, well, those are errors that were made. It's not a crime, ladies and gentlemen. They didn't rob anybody. It's not to be excoriated. I'm just pointing out some PR moves that could have been better. That's all I'm saying. Having said all of that, here's the other thing. Because it all ties in. Getting back to Antonio Brown's appearance on The Shop with LeBron James and Maverick Carter, with Jamie Foxx and 2 Chainz and those boys in attendance. First of all, Jamie Foxx was phenomenal, as always. Anthony Davis was pretty damn good, too. Okay? Let's be clear. 2 Chainz, don't judge a book by its cover. First of all, he's a cool brother. Album's off the chain. No pun intended. And on top of it all, this is a dude that played ball in college. And oh, by the way, while he was a student athlete, had a 4.0 GPA and graduated in 3 years. So I'll be talking about 2 Chainz. Understand this is a highly intelligent individual who's also highly accomplished. And by the way, real and authentic, and I give him a lot of love. I got a lot of love for 2 Chainz. And oh, let me say this for the record. I got a lot of love for The Shop. I think LeBron James and Maverick Carter doing a hell of a job with that show. HBO's lucky to have it. I like it. And I'd encourage everybody to watch it. But part of what makes the world go round is loving, appreciating, and respecting something and not necessarily agreeing with everything. Somebody like Jamie Foxx, that's my brother. I love Jamie Foxx. Do I agree with every damn thing he says? Hell no. Does he agree with everything I say? Hell no. A matter of fact, when he transforms into Cleveland A. Smith, which is absolutely hysterical, he's usually disagreeing with me then. So ain't nothing but love. But on a more serious level, Antonio Brown sitting there and speaking his piece. What was disappointing to me was that no one asked a question. My brother, okay, let's say for the sake of argument, you're absolutely positively right with what you're saying. How's that going to work for you? See, LeBron got his money established. LeBron set for generations. Maverick Carter, some of the brains behind the brilliance of LeBron James. He's pretty set. Jamie Foxx is an Academy Award winner. And I would make an argument and debate this with anybody. If you know a more talented all-around individual in Hollywood, show me who he is. I'll still tell you you're wrong. You might have actors, you might have singers, you might have comedians. There is no person, no one individual with the all-around versatile skills better than Jamie Foxx. You tell me differently, you're lying. There is no one in the entire Hollywood that is more talented all around than Jamie Foxx. He's that great. He's that great. All I'm saying about Antonio Brown is those individuals were established. Antonio Brown's greatness as a talent is established, but his money ain't. Was it really, really wise for him to be on that show talking what he was talking before he got a new contract? Y'all couldn't wait? Because don't tell me that ain't going to have a negative effect on him. Maybe Drew Rosenhaus is going to pull off something for him, but I find it hard to believe that it's not going to detrimentally affect him. And it's not going to scare NFL teams off and potentially compromise his dollars. See, we talk a lot, ladies and gentlemen, about, oh, man, you got to be real, you got to be authentic, and all that. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, absolutely. Nobody advocates more than me being real. But what you're missing is that there are various categories that come with being real. You can be real smart. You can also be real dumb, real ignorant, real stupid, real unprofessional. You can be a whole bunch of things. Real. Which brings me to David Irving of the Dallas Cowboys. Did you see the video, ladies and gentlemen? Did you see the video? I don't know if you see the video. John, do we at least have sound from the video? Do we at least have that? Because, ladies and gentlemen, online, David Irving, 6'7", 290-pound lineman for the Dallas Cowboys who played in just 2 games last year, has been suspended 3 different times. PED use, weed use. Well, he was on the verge of banishment for another failed test. And he goes on social media to announce that he's giving up football because, damn it, he wants to smoke his weed. Listen to what he had to say.
Basically, guys, I quit. I want to talk about a suspension and all this other nonsense. I'm out of there. I'm not doing it no more. You start talking about addiction, that's a sensitive subject. It's funny, you know, some people are like, oh, you're addicted to weed, you're addicted to this and that. I mean, if I'm going to be addicted to something, I'd rather be marijuana, which is medical. It's a medicine. I do not consider it a drug, rather than the Xanax bars or the Hydros or the Seroquel and all that crazy that they feed you, you know. So like I said, it ain't about smoking weed.
ladies and gentlemen, I'm sad. And if y'all are expecting me to go off on David Irving, that's not what I'm going to do. It's not a laughing matter. It's not a funny matter. I know I make statements like stay off the weed, but that's just a generic statement or whatever, and you're having fun with it and just telling people to stay off the weed because it's going to compromise your bottom line. This is far more serious than that. Ladies and gentlemen, understand that at 6'7", 290 pounds, a defensive end out of Iowa State who's been in the league since 2015 has played in a grand total of 37 games. Because he's been suspended 3 times for drug use. I don't find that to be a laughing matter. Because at 25 years of age, what you've essentially said is that I'm willing to forfeit potentially millions of dollars because I want to smoke some weed. Now, people are going to make the argument the NFL and their testing for marijuana is ridiculous. True. The NFL have far worse things they should be testing for that they put in the bodies of these professional athletes. And it ain't right, Stephen A. That's true. All of that's true. They need to eradicate the testing. At the very least in the off season, they need to allow marijuana use for medicinal purposes. Ladies and gentlemen, you're absolutely right. I'm not here to dispute that. But here's the reality. The rules are what they are until they change. And if you elected to play in the National Football League, you were aware of the rules and either didn't have the discipline to refrain from usage, or you didn't give a damn and was willing to use millions, which gives indications that you must be an addict, because I ain't never seen a joint in my life worth millions of dollars. No matter what way you slice it, tell me what on earth is positive about a 25-year-old on social media for the world to see, unapologetic about losing out on millions of dollars just because they want the license to smoke some weed. Tell me about that. Think about it. It's pretty damn sad. I got more to say on that subject, and then some. You're listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News. That was Straight Talk Wireless, nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks. I'll get to your phone calls and more in a minute. Don't touch that dial because I got a hell of a lot more to say. It's Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News. By the way, if you haven't tried the delicious high-quality meat from ButcherBox, you're going to be blown away. ButcherBox brings you the meat the way it's meant to be so you can get all of the benefits you're supposed to get. Unbelievable flavor and unparalleled nutrition. They work closely with the best farms and companies committed to raising animals humanely. From grass-fed beef to free-range organic chicken to wild-caught sockeye salmon from Bristol Bay, Alaska, ButcherBox has over 20 different cuts of meat to choose from with customizable boxes and a variety of other options. Not anymore. I'm not holding back. I'm sick and tired of that nonsense. I'm about to undress a few folks. Not by name, but I'm about to undress a few folks with that mode of thinking. Here I come. Buckle up. And I want to warn y'all, these words are not the words of ESPN. They're mine. I'll talk to y'all in a minute.
Learn what affects your credit scores and what you can do to improve them with Credit Karma. Maybe you need to dispute it.
The Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on the Stephen A. Smith Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. And you can always get in touch with the show through the 1-800-Flowers Twitter feed.
If you missed my opening segment, the Stephen A. Smith Podcast, brought to you by Capital One. Accounts with no fees or minimums that can be opened in 5 minutes. Capital One. Hey, what's in your wallet? 888-SAVE-ESPN. It's 888-7. What I'm about to say are the comments of Stephen A. Smith and Stephen A. Smith alone. Jonathan Winthrop, my producer, is not responsible for this. Nuno Teixeira is not responsible for this. Cat Pastor is not responsible for this. Troy Keller, Justin Craig, Marsha Keegan. Nobody's responsible for this. Dave Roberts, Norby Williamson, Jimmy Pitaro, Connor Shell. Nobody's responsible for this. They gave me these airwaves. I'm obligated to be responsible, and I will be. But I'll be damned if I'm going to bite my tongue in the process. This is the Stephen A. Smith radio show until further notice. And I'm going to say what I feel, and I mean what the hell I say. Because you see, when you bring up the issue of, in this particular case, the weed involving David Irving and others, you know, you have a lot of people that aren't happy about what I have to say. The belief is simple. Getting on, fellas, for smoking some weed. I'm not taking the perspective that folks want me to take. As a black man, you know, I seem to be against the brothers and all of this other stuff. You know, I take a lot of that ignorant drivel a lot. But I got to tell you something. Excuse me. Hello. I can hear you. Got a producer in here. I was just letting them know my listeners hear. Okay. Let me be very, very clear. I am a person that doesn't wish harm or bad luck on anybody. I am pro-human being. I'm certainly pro-American. I think this is the greatest country in the world. We put ourselves first. We should put ourselves first. But I am an unapologetic black man who loves my people, my community. And I don't speak for everybody because we're not one monolithic voice. We don't all think alike. You don't see one of us and get to assume that all of us think the same and act the same and believe the same. We're diverse just like any other ethnic group in this nation or this world. But there's a lot of things that are shared by folks culturally, I guess, and it is what it is. Let me state my position very, very clear. When it comes to the issue of weed or various other things that pertain to the African American athlete or African Americans, period, I'm about what works. I'm about pragmatism and what's real. I'm not about some utopia that other people defer to or lean on. When you watch me on First Take, every weekday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 7 a.m. Pacific, and when Max Kellerman comes on and says something, and I'm not lambasting him, this is not a criticism towards him, that's my man, please don't get me wrong, but he comes from a different perspective. And he could sit up there being white, okay, being Jewish, being Ivy League educated, highly intellectual. He can come from a perspective of utopia and talk to you about how things should be all day long. And guess what? He's not wrong, but he's either unrealistic or oblivious to the effect and the impact that it would have on me and black people all over the place. And guess what? He's not alone. When I saw Antonio Brown on The Shop the other day, and I was listening to his words, I'm thinking about all that support that he had around him, but also the impracticality that came associated with them. You're LeBron James, you Maverick, and you're sitting there nodding your head, yeah, speaking and sticking out your chest and encouraging him to be so open and forceful. LeBron got $153 million guaranteed from the Lakers. LeBron James is already set for generations to come. He's accumulated nearly $1 billion, if not more. Antonio Brown needs a check from the NFL. Where you think all that drivel gonna get him? Nobody thought to stand up and say, damn, this could work against you, bro. I didn't say debate whether it's right or wrong, because we know it's probably wrong. We know what the NFL gets away with. We know what the owners get away with. We know this ain't baseball where Bryce Harper gets paid $330 million guaranteed, every penny of it for 13 years. We know this ain't the NBA where LeBron got his $153 million. We know where this ain't the NBA where Russell Westbrook gets $217 million, where Steph Curry gets $207 million. It's the NFL. What about his money? That's what I'm thinking about. I told it on the show this morning, and I'm going to say it again. Snoop Dogg gave new meaning to the green room. Gives to new meaning. We all know he smokes some weed unapologetically. I said the same thing for years. Everybody, Stephen A. sellout, Stephen A. this, Stephen A. that. I bring Snoop Dogg on national television. I said, Snoop, have I ever said anything to you about weed? He said, never a word. I said, why am I complaining about the weed with the athletes? He said, because you know it's going to cost them their money. Years ago, when Allen Iverson used to argue with me again, you know that's my brother, and he used to argue with me about being real and being raw and being unapologetic. I said to him, yo, man, I totally agree with you. Can I ask you a question? When you got drafted, what were you wearing? Remember when Allen Iverson showed up in 1996? He had on a suit. He was looking fly. Ladies and gentlemen, he didn't have cornrows. He had a fade. He didn't have tattoos on his neck. He was relatively clean because he was trying to get paid. It's only after he got paid that he said, okay, y'all, here we go. What I am saying to you is that those individuals are special. Everybody ain't special. What some people can get away with, millions of people can't. And if I made it, but I'm telling you and encouraging you to do things that ultimately corporate America will frown upon and ultimately squash you because of it. Who's the sellout? Is it me or is it you? If you're the one that is encouraging people to go down a dead-end road, where rising from that abyss leaves you a slim to none chance of success. But I'm the one talking to you about what actually will work and how you can maneuver your way through those minefields in an effort to get your money and to have your success and to be able to provide for yourself and your family and beyond. Who's the sellout? It's got a lot of people that want to talk. And they're so quick to give youngsters, particularly from minorities communities, all this advice about being real and raw and authentic. Do you know who are the most honest people in the world? Did y'all ever know? Do y'all know the answer to that question? You know who the most honest people in the world are? Children. Because when they're learning to speak and express themselves and to communicate, all they know is what they know. And they don't have repercussions to concern themselves about because they're children. There's a reason why, as adults, as you grow older, you learn to modify your thinking and your expressions and your form of communication and what you're willing to verbalize. Do you know why that is? Because unlike children, there's a price you have to pay. And because I'm one of those people that is willing to look out enough to point to you the minefields along the way, me and people like me are periodically, by some, not most, not all, but by some, are called sellouts. Who's the real sellout? Somebody that tells you where the minefields are so you can avoid them? Or somebody who tells you nothing and leads you right into the minefield where your dreams, your hopes, your aspirations can blow up in smoke. Who's the real sellout? And you wonder why people look at us sometimes like we damn fools. 888 say ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. You're listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News. The college basketball season is heating up, and that means we must turn our attention to the Wendy's Wooden Watch. The John R. Wooden Men's Player of the Year Award, presented by Wendy's, is the most prestigious individual honor in college basketball, awarded to the country's most outstanding player who's also making progress towards earning a degree. Go to ESPN.com and search Wooden Watch for the list of the Wooden Award late season top 20 nominees to watch as this season rolls on. Saturday night nominee Cassius Winston and number 9, Michigan State hosts number 7, Michigan at 8 p.m. on Eastern. It's being brought to you by Wendy's, proud sponsor of the 2019 John R. Wooden Player of the Year. 888 say ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. I got more to say. I'm also going to touch on Wade, on Coach Wade, Wilson at LSU, and the controversy he's been caught up in. College athletes caught on tape talking about paying off a guy. A lot of stuff to talk about. I'm not going anywhere. I'm right here. You're listening live to Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News. This show and all of ESPN is streaming live on the ESPN app. Now with ESPN Plus, where you get more ESPN. Download the ESPN app today and take ESPN everywhere.
Need game tickets? Find your seats at Vivid Seats. The Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on The Stephen A. Smith Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. And you can always get in touch with the show through the 1-800-Flowers Twitter feed.
If you missed my opening segment, the Stephen A. Smith Podcast, brought to you by Capital One. Accounts with no fees or minimums that can be opened in 5 minutes. Capital One. Hey, what's in your wallet? 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-7. What I'm about to say are the comments of Stephen A. Smith and Stephen A. Smith alone. Jonathan Winthrop, my producer, is not responsible for this. Nuno Teixeira is not responsible for this. Cat Pastor is not responsible for this. Troy Keller, Justin Craig, Marsha Keegan. Nobody's responsible for this. Dave Roberts, Norby Williamson, Jimmy Pitaro, Connor Shell. Nobody's responsible for this. They gave me these airwaves. I'm obligated to be responsible, and I will be. But I'll be damned if I'm going to bite my tongue in the process. This is the Stephen A. Smith Radio Show until further notice. And I'm going to say what I feel, and I mean what the hell I say. Because you see, when you bring up the issue of, in this particular case, the weed involving David Irving and others, you know, you have a lot of people that aren't happy about what I have to say. The belief is simple. Getting on, fellas, for smoking some weed. I'm not taking the perspective that folks want me to take. As a black man, you know, I seem to be against the brothers and all of this other stuff. You know, I take a lot of that ignorant dribble a lot. But I got to tell you something. Excuse me. Hello. I can hear you. Got a producer in here. I was just letting them know my listeners here. Okay. Let me be very, very clear. I am a person that doesn't wish harm or bad luck on anybody. I am pro-human being. I'm certainly pro-American. I think this is the greatest country in the world. We put ourselves first. We should put ourselves first. But I am an unapologetic black man who loves my people, my community. And I don't speak for everybody because we're not one monolithic voice. We don't all think alike. You don't see one of us and get to assume that all of us think the same and act the same and believe the same. We're diverse just like any other ethnic group in this nation or this world. But there's a lot of things that are shared by folks culturally, I guess, and it is what it is. Let me state my position very, very clear. When it comes to the issue of weed or various other things that pertain to the African American athlete or African Americans, period, I'm about what works. I'm about pragmatism and what's real. I'm not about some utopia that other people defer to or lean on. When you watch me on First Take, every weekday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 7 a.m. Pacific, and when Max Kellerman comes on and says something, and I'm not lambasting him, this is not a criticism towards him, that's my man, please don't get me wrong, but he comes from a different perspective. And he could sit up there being white, okay, being Jewish, being Ivy League educated, highly intellectual. He can come from a perspective of utopia and talk to you about how things should be all day long. And guess what? He's not wrong, but he's either unrealistic or oblivious to the effect and the impact that it would have on me and black people all over the place. And guess what? He's not alone. When I saw Antonio Brown on The Shop the other day and I was listening to his words, I'm thinking about all that support that he had around him, but also the impracticality that came associated with them. You're LeBron James, you Maverick, and you're sitting there nodding your head, yeah, speaking and sticking out your chest and encouraging him to be so open and forceful. LeBron got $153 million guaranteed from the Lakers. LeBron James is already set for generations to come. He's accumulated nearly $1 billion, if not more. Antonio Brown needs a check from the NFL. Where you think all that drivel gonna get him? Nobody thought to stand up and say, damn, this could work against you, bro. I didn't say debate whether it's right or wrong, because we know it's probably wrong. We know what the NFL gets away with. We know what the owners get away with. We know this ain't baseball where Bryce Harper gets paid $330 million guaranteed, every penny of it for 13 years. We know this ain't the NBA where LeBron got his $153 million. We know where this ain't the NBA where Russell Westbrook gets $217 million, where Steph Curry gets $207 million. It's the NFL. What about his money? That's what I'm thinking about. I told it on the show this morning, and I'm going to say it again. Snoop Dogg gave new meaning to the green room. Gives to new meaning. We all know he smokes some weed unapologetically. I said the same thing for years. Everybody, Stephen A. sellout, Stephen A. this, Stephen A. that. I bring Snoop Dogg on national television. I said, Snoop, have I ever said anything to you about weed? He said, never a word. I said, why am I complaining about the weed with the athletes? He said, because you know it's going to cost them their money. Years ago, when Allen Iverson used to argue with me again, you know that's my brother, and he used to argue with me about being real and being raw and being unapologetic. I said to him, yo, man, I totally agree with you. Can I ask you a question? When you got drafted, what were you wearing? Remember when Allen Iverson showed up in 1996? He had on a suit. He was looking fly. Ladies and gentlemen, he didn't have cornrows. He had a fade. He didn't have tattoos on his neck. He was relatively clean because he was trying to get paid. It's only after he got paid that he said, okay, y'all, here we go. What I am saying to you is that those individuals are special. Everybody ain't special. What some people can get away with, millions of people can't. And if I made it, but I'm telling you and encouraging you to do things that ultimately corporate America will frown upon and ultimately squash you because of it. Who's the sellout? Is it me or is it you? If you're the one that is encouraging people to go down a dead-end road, where rising from that abyss leaves you a slim to none chance of success. But I'm the one talking to you about what actually will work and how you can maneuver your way through those minefields in an effort to get your money and to have your success and to be able to provide for yourself and your family and beyond. Who's the sellout? It's got a lot of people that want to talk. And they're so quick to give youngsters, particularly from minorities communities, all this advice about being real and raw and authentic. Do you know who are the most honest people in the world? Did y'all ever know? Do y'all know the answer to that question? You know who the most honest people in the world are? Children. Because when they're learning to speak and express themselves and to communicate, all they know is what they know. And they don't have repercussions to concern themselves about because they're children. There's a reason why, as adults, as you grow older, you learn to modify your thinking and your expressions and your form of communication and what you're willing to verbalize. Do you know why that is? Because unlike children, there's a price you have to pay. And because I'm one of those people that is willing to look out enough to point to you the minefields along the way, Me and people like me are periodically, by some, not most, not all, but by some, are called sellouts. Who's the real sellout? Somebody that tells you where the minefields are so you can avoid them? Or somebody who tells you nothing and leads you right into the minefield where your dreams, your hopes, your aspirations can blow up in smoke? Who's the real sellout? And you wonder why people look at us sometimes like we damn fools. 888 say ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. You're listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News. The college basketball season is heating up, and that means we must turn our attention to the Wendy's Wooden Watch. The John R. Wooden Men's Player of the Year Award, presented by Wendy's, is the most prestigious individual honor in college basketball, awarded to the country's most outstanding player who's also making progress towards earning a degree. Go to ESPN.com and search Wooden Watch for the list of the Wooden Award late season top 20 nominees to watch as this season rolls on. Saturday night nominee Cassius Winston and number 9, Michigan State hosts number 7, Michigan at 8 p.m. on Eastern. It's being brought to you by Wendy's, proud sponsor of the 2019 John R. Wooden Player of the Year. 888 say ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. I got more to say. I'm also going to touch on Wade, on Coach Wade, Wilson at LSU, and the controversy he's been caught up in. College athletes caught on tape talking about paying off a guy. A lot of stuff to talk about. I'm not going anywhere. I'm right here. You're listening live to Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News. This show and all of ESPN is streaming live on the ESPN app. Now with ESPN Plus, where you get more ESPN. Download the ESPN app today and take ESPN everywhere.
Need game tickets? Find your seats at Vivid Seats.
Delicious, high-quality meat from Butcher Box. You're going to be blown away. From grass-fed beef to free-range organic chicken to wild-caught sockeye salmon from Bristol Bay, Alaska. Butcher Box has over 20 different cuts of meat to choose from. All raised humanely with no antibiotics or hormones. With free shipping, you can get a month's worth of the best-tasting meat from Butcher Box for less than $6 a meal. Butcher Box is offering my listeners free ground beef for the life of your subscription and $20 off your first box when you sign up at butcherbox.com/Stephen A. That's butcherbox.com/Stephen A. That's with a PH, not a V. Welcome back to the Stephen A. Smith Show right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN News. ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. For boats, motorcycles, and RVs, get a quote in as little as 3 minutes at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com. Plus, get triple action protection for optimal engine performance with Shell V-Power Nitro, plus premium gasoline. Next Saturday, March 16th, live from AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas, known as Jerry World, owner of the Dallas Cowboys, of course, where the Dallas Cowboys play. A title fight, the welterweight championship of the world, International Boxing Federation, world welterweight title on the line. Errol Spence Jr. will be going up against my next guest. He is 39-0. He's got 30 KOs. He's one of the best fighters in the world. His name is Mikey Garcia. He's on the line with me right now. What's going on, Mikey? How are you, man? How's everything?
What's up, bro? I'm good. I'm excited, Thanks for welcoming me to the show.
Well, first of all, you are welcome to the show. You're one of the best. I'm allergic to scrubs, Mikey. I got to admit to you. I'm allergic to scrubs. If you was a scrub, I wouldn't want you on. I just can't do it, Mikey. I only talk to great fighters, and you're certainly one of them. Talk to me first. Why this fight? Why Errol Spence Jr.?
Look, I'm excited for the fight, and everybody asked the same question, why did I go after Errol Spence? Well, Errol Spence is probably the biggest threat, the biggest challenge, for me, moving up from weight all the way to welterweight, the challenge for his title. It's something that's unheard of, and that's what I want to prove to everybody that I'm much more than they've ever seen. I'm much more than they've ever expected, and I can definitely put this up.
Mikey Garcia right here with Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Try to stand still if you can because your voice was going in and out, your cell phone signal, so I want to make sure that we can hear you correctly. He's getting ready to fight Errol Spence Jr. a week from Saturday, a week from tomorrow night for the welterweight crown, the IBF welterweight crown in Arlington, Texas. Why? But when people look at you, Mikey, we know you're great. At 39-0, we've seen what you can do. You've never been defeated. You've knocked out 77% of your fighters. You handle your business. But one of the best fighters, if not recognized as the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, is Lomachenko, who's a lightweight champion just like you. You're moving 2 weight classes up to fight Errol Spence Jr. instead of staying in your weight division and fighting a guy arguably considered the best pound-for-pound in the world. Why that?
Because Lomachenko's hiding behind Bob Arum at Top Rank. They're not interested in fighting me. They got Krola, they got Pedraza, they'll have Richard Coleman next. They got their own agenda, and I ain't going to sit around wait for nobody. I'm going to go after the biggest challenge. I'm a risk taker. I'm cementing my legacy, and that's why I decided to go after Errol Spence, much bigger threat.
So before we move on to Errol Spence again in the welterweight division, I want to be very, very clear. You're saying that you were willing to fight Lomachenko, and that they were ducking you. They wanted you to wait around. They didn't want to fight you. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm willing to fight anybody, including Lomachenko. I would love that fight with Lomachenko. But Bob Arum, and his company, Top Rank, they've never really made an attempt to reach out and talk to me about that fight. They had planned already to fight Pedraza before the end of the year, which they did. And as soon as that happened, they're matching him up against Krola now. And, Top Rank already has Richard Coleman as IBF champion. Also, at 135, they signed him as soon as they could get a hands on him. It seems like they already have, mapped out an agenda for Lomachenko's next 2-3 opponents. And that's great, they can do that. But I'm not going to sit around and wait for nobody. I can challenge myself in different divisions. I can go up and weight, 2 divisions to challenge myself like that. That's the kind of fighter I am. I want to take the big challenge.
And Mikey, listen, Mikey, I'm not worried about you skill-wise. Skill-wise, you belong in the ring against anybody out there. Yeah, listen, you're talking to a fan of yours, brother. Skill-wise, you could go against anybody. But this is boxing. And we consistently hear about the difference in weight class and ability to go up and bring your power upstairs with you. You have jumped 2 weight divisions to fight arguably the monster in the welterweight division right now in terms of power shots, etc. You don't have any concerns about that?
You know, I believe I have all the talent and all the skills to beat, size, to beat that strength advantage that Errol Spence has. I know what I can do, and I know that I'm much more than people have seen in me, and that's why I decided to move up. I really believe I will win this fight and show everybody that I'm the greatest fighter right now.
What about people that look at Mikey Garcia and go like this? Lots of skill, no doubt about it, can box his butt off, we all get this. But did he have to fight Errol Spence at the welterweight? The Danny Garcias of the world and Sean Porters of the world and various others, couldn't he have fought one of them before getting into the ring with a guy 2 weight classes above him that's considered the monster at the welterweight division in Errol Spence Jr.? How do you respond to that?
Of course I could have taken other fights at welterweight before fighting Spence, but I'm not in it to take any easy fights. I want to take the toughest fights, the best fights available. I want to challenge myself, to the fullest. I started last year fighting, Lipinets, an undefeated, champion at 140 pounds. Then I fought Easter at 135, another undefeated champion. Now I'm fighting at welterweight against Errol Spence, another undefeated champion. That's 3 undefeated champions back to back to back, all in 12 months. Tell me another fighter doing that. That's the kind of fighter that I am. I want to challenge myself, and I'll prove to everybody I'm the best in the world right now.
Mikey Garcia right here with Stephen A., ESPN Radio, ESPN News. So how you going to beat Errol Spence Jr.? What you going to do?
Well, I'm going to beat him every round. There's a lot more to winning a fight than power and size and weight. That is a factor of this fight. He has a size advantage, there's a weight advantage, but there's a lot more to it, and I believe I'm better in every other way. I'm better in timing, I'm better in speed, I'm better in defense, I'm better in footwork, I'm better in regular boxing IQ. I'm better than Errol Spence in every other way.
Do you think that Errol Spence Jr. is the best in the welterweight division? I'm talking about before you take him out now. I'm not talking about yourself. I'm talking about at the welterweights, him, Crawford, Thurman, Garcia, Porter, Kell Brook, not the Kell Brook that moved up to fight Triple G, the Kell Brook that lost to Errol Spence Jr. Do you think that there are others within the welterweight division that are actually better than Errol Spence Jr.? Because I'm asking you that question because the way you're talking about him, you say you're superior in every way.
Look, right now I think the only one that can give him competition other than myself would be Terrence Crawford. Because of the height and reach, that'll be a tricky fight for both fighters. And the skills are there. Terrence Crawford has tremendous skills. But, I think the power that Errol Spence possesses is something that can defeat Terrence Crawford. So for that reason, even though Crawford can probably give him a good fight, I still think Spence beats Crawford. He is a natural 147-pounder, unlike Crawford that's also moving up. Hold it, Mikey. You just finished saying that Errol Spence Jr. is somebody that would beat Crawford because Crawford has to move up. You're moving up 2 weight classes. So if you can move up and beat Errol Spence Jr. like you're predicting, why wouldn't Crawford be able to? Oh, Crawford he's already at welterweight. But I'm saying he did move up, and that's the size disadvantage. And that's the only thing that I see going for Spence. He is naturally the bigger guy. Now, the only difference between me and Crawford is that I think I carry my boxing IQ, I carry my power, I have more experience, I have a lot more to offer than what Crawford has. Crawford already has other fights in front of him. He's already scheduled to fight, Khan, and they're not even fighting Spence. I mean, he can call him out, but he's not fighting him. I mean, it's just a different approach.
WBC lightweight champion of the world, Mikey Garcia, is scheduled to fight Errol Spence Jr. for the IBF welterweight crown a week from tomorrow night. He's right here with Stephen A., ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Last question. You win this fight, you staying at the welterweight division? Moving down to junior welterweight? Moving down to lightweight? What you going to do? What's your next move? You win this fight.
Well, I got to make sure I win this fight, and after this fight, I'll definitely see all the options available for me. What I love about my position is that I can move up in weight. I can come back down, from lightweight all the way to 47 at welterweight, and I'll have many of options. I'm not stuck to one promoter. I'm not stuck to one network. I'm not stuck at one weight class. I can fluctuate between weight classes, jump up and down. I'm going to go after the biggest fight available, and I'll have many of options to choose from.
Got mad respect for your heart and definitely your skills. He's 39-0 with 30 KOs. Knockout ratio of 77%. He is the WBC lightweight champion of the world. Scheduled to go up against welterweight champion Errol Spence Jr. He's the one and only Mikey Garcia. Good luck next week, my man. I'll be watching that fight. You take it easy.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, the one and only Mikey Garcia right here with Stephen A., ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Listen, I love me some Errol Spence Jr. Mikey Garcia is special. He can really, really fight. He's very, very special. My only reservation, he's moving up 2 weight classes. Is he strong enough to beat Errol Spence Jr.? I don't think so. But I could be wrong. We'll see. By the way, if you missed any of today's show, go check it out on demand in the Stephen A. Smith podcast, brought to you by Capital One. Capital One is reimagining banking, offering accounts with no fees or minimums that can be opened in 5 minutes. Capital One, hey, what's in your wallet? Your calls to close out the show in a minute. This is Stephen A., ESPN Radio, ESPN News. This show and all of ESPN is streaming live on the ESPN app. Now with ESPN Plus, where you get more ESPN. Download the ESPN app today and take ESPN everywhere.
Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com.